In the busyness of your day-to-day life, have you ever wondered where you've come from and where do you go? This is a place where those who suspect they're innately wise, brilliant and powerful come to learn how to transform their lives, one cognition, one realization and one blinding flash of the obvious at a time. We are the innovators, the record breakers, the world makers and creators of all kinds. We supersede the suppressive worldview of mass ignorance and awaken the strength within. We are waking up to our innate secrets. My name is Dr. Mark Postles and welcome to the Innate Secrets podcast. Welcome to today's podcast. So what I want to look at is in the context of source. It's in the context of that sublime state of infinite possibilities that we're surrounded by. And to do this, I want to have a look at a model which seems to be appropriate with this discussion, because so much of it is intangible, so much is conjecture, it's sort of out of our ability to delineate and define. However, we come from somewhere and we go to somewhere and we have this life form in between. And so from many different teachers over time, including the likes of John DeMartini, I've come to have an understanding that we come from a source. Now, this is explored by religion, it's explored by philosophy, it's explored by the higher levels of physics, that we come from this point of infinite oneness. It's been called the singularity point or the 0 point field. It's from whence this whole universe and this whole life thing that we have came. And whether it's the other side of the black hole or the that we emerged from, or is it some parallel universe, who knows? There's a lot of conjecture that goes, a lot of science that goes relative to this. And from this discussion, it doesn't really matter. The point being is it is a very high vibrational field that slows down over maybe time, maybe certain energetic interruptions, but the high vibrational field, which we could call spiritual, where there's no space, no time, no matter, slows to a point where it is a mental field. Now, if you picture this on an old-fashioned clock face, right? So you've got 12 at the top, which could represent spiritual, and you've got mental, which could represent, say, 3 o'clock. So you've got a devolving of this high vibrational space or frequency into a slower vibration that has different frequencies that can carry certain bits of information. And so this informational field is all around us. We call that the mental field. Often when you think of like mental health, have you ever asked, well, what is mental? What is the mind? The mind is not the brain. The mind is not the physical apparatus. It's like the effects that you get from your computer is not the hardware. It's a combination of the hardware relaying the information from the software. So the software is like this field around us. It's informational field that we actually project and transmit into, and we receive from. So, intuition and just knowing and certain experiments that render certain results that get faster and faster the more they're done because of the field around us is a phenomenon that is reasonably well accepted. Not totally, not by the very, very hard sciences, but for the most part, most of at least the quantum-oriented sciences are recognizing that the field is definitely something that we can work with. And obviously at the mechanistic level, we work with it in terms of radio waves and TV waves and microwave and so forth. So we can't see it, we can't touch it, but it's there. The next evolving state of this spiritual essence then is into the physical form. The physical form is that vibration that's slowed so much that it is now in a physical format. So, and that will vary. That will vary according to the density, and that gives rise to the type of physical form it is. So that a rock is a very dense physical form, whereas a human being is a lot lighter, and human beings within themselves can be light or heavy as well as a human being. And then different organs and different cells and tissues and are at a different vibrational form. And so they give rise to a different physical form as well. So that's the nature of the physical. It is 6 o'clock on this clock face. It is the lowest form of vibration that is known. And it is very measurable, testable. So the greatest challenge then for human beings is the transporting themselves across or relating across this next level from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, because 7 o'clock is the beginning of an ascension, right? So we've had a descension from spiritual through mental to physical. Now we're going into an ascending pathway back towards spirit. So in other words, everything from physical on out from here on is increasing its vibration, it's increasing its cohesion, its connection, its relationship to spirit. And so family is at 7 o'clock. Family is the essence. That is all the people that are close to us, whether they be blood family or not. They're people who are in our little posse, they're in our tribe. And the first step from an isolated individual of the physical level is to enroll family as being one with self. And so as we do that, then we can move up the ladder of ascension. However, the majority of stress and the majority of trauma for most people in their lives is that transition with another person. And that could be their dearest loved one, their closest relationship. There's a distinction of difference. There's a separation, and there's a pushback between the two that doesn't allow for inclusion, doesn't allow for molding together as one, because at a spiritual level, we are all one. There is no form, there's no matter, there's no time, there's no space. It is all one. And so at the antithesis of that, the physical, it is like I'm separate and everything else is separate from me. And our journey as a physical being, as I would see it, is that journey back towards spirit. So our family is our closest, nearest, easiest, not always easiest, but the step that we need to take in order to move back towards spirit. So any upsets that we have, any imbalances that we have in our relationships at a very, very close level will be reflected all the way up through these subsequent levels, which I'll now mention. So as we get our integration into family, then we can go to 8 o'clock, which would be social. And social is all the rest of humanity. So family is like a whole bunch of nested loops, a whole bunch of circles with the closest ones in the middle, and then the least and least friendships going towards the outside, but we still have the names of those people and we still know them. So there's still our family in that respect. Beyond that is the unnamed group called society. So that's at 7 o'clock. And our integration through into that, and our ability to master society, the ability to go out and have impact upon society comes through our ability to have impact on ourselves firstly, then our family, and then we can go into the world and express ourselves in whatever way we may choose. We then go into 9 o'clock, which is professional. So a professional is able to look at leverage and look at being able to influence society and enroll family and also appreciate the physical. So the physical, he says, hard work. Like physical is a job that you might be doing that involves you doing it is a physical activity. Even if you're a so-called professional in your working life, you're actually, if you're a lawyer, a doctor, a chiropractor, a naturopath, you are doing a physical job when you're doing that physical job. You're not doing a professional job. A professional job is when you create that as a business and you step out of it. So the business drives the the enterprise, and the family supports that. That's your team, and the society benefits from it, and you ultimately benefit from it because you're working on the business. So that's at 9 o'clock. So that's quite a high state, and not too many people make the transition to that. Not too many people are independently wealthy. It's said that probably 5% of the population in Western society have significant wealth, and that comes from a professional position. It doesn't come from a labouring physical position. So then the next step up, which is a word that I scrambled for and I had to invent, I've called it way shower. A way shower is a person who shows the way, but they show the way without expectation of reward, without conditions upon what its followers do, because the way shower doesn't have followers. The way shower will simply share the way, and then it's up to the individual to determine whether that's right for them. So think Dalai Lama, think of Gandhi, think of Mother Teresa. Those are examples of way showers. They're not out to increase their corporation. They're not out there to get trophies for their trophy cabinet. They're out there to simply share what has been so for them, share their truth, and notice what others do. And they start to really come into the recognition that this universal intelligence is in all matter, and it continually gives to it its properties and its actions, therefore maintaining it in existence. And so they know that the energy of thought, the energy of the integration of mind into the body allows for a cohesion to take place of the physical being with the oneness of family, with the oneness of humanity, and the judicious responsibility that we have as leaders as we emerge then through our professional undertakings to become a way shower. Now, the 11 o'clock is sort of an area that most people don't get to. In fact, there's usually only a few really inspired masters who manifest this stage of manifestation. They are able. They're the alchemists, the ability to walk the fine line between the physical and the spiritual, and maybe go from one to the other. Who knows? But there's legend of that, there's story of that, and that is the epitome, if you like, of the physical plane, where it is essentially spirit and it's manifesting in and out of that physical form. So it's sort of cool to consider that. However, for most of us, we're dealing with, hey, I'm a physical person, I'm a physical body, and doing this physical stuff, and there's these jerks around me that are doing all this other stuff that I don't think is right, or I think is wrong, and they're being stupid, and and these politics are, the bipartisan politics is very rare. It's this duality where people are fighting, and then there's countries fighting and so forth. So, the challenge for us as and that's why I wanted to set this model out there, is that we do, if we recognize and look back to our essence and capture that essence and bring it into the physical, it helps us transcend. It helps us to move through into the family, social, professional, and way shower. And that is very, very doable and very possible. So what I challenge you to do with this one is to firstly consider where you are within that. How often do you get conflict, either within yourself or within those who are close to you? And how does that stop you from moving into influence in society and building businesses and organizations and structures that are going to influence society to a huge degree? So what I might consider on this one is, and something that works very well for me, is to visit that mental and that spiritual realm very often. And the mechanism that I would use is meditation. So I'd suggest that if you could access a daily habit of getting into a state of gratitude and appreciation for the essence that you are, it's transformative. It allows you to step into the day in a way that sees the unity of all rather than the separation. So that's the message for today. Just consider your source, consider where you are, consider where you want to go, consider what steps you would love to do in order to move towards that. I'm Dr. Mark Postles. Welcome to Innate Secrets Podcast. Let us show you how to fire your brain in ways that serve you so that you can be confident, connected, and bring joy and passion into what you do every day. Get a free copy of my book, The Innate Model. Go to theinnatemodel.com/free book.